Human. I have been involved in the supply chain field within the packaging manufacturing industry for the last 12 to 14 years. What I would like to discuss with you today is really around supply chain management in a growth environment, and why do we think that is quite topical? I think it is very topical, particularly within the African environment. You know, I've recently read a very credible report around consumption figures in Africa that basically says that consumption growth in countries like Ghana, Nigeria and Kenya is likely to exceed 13% per annum up to the year 2022. That translates into 3.5 times more consumption that is what currently the state. Further to that, if you take the Nigerian population, 46%, this report states, are on the verge of migrating above the poverty line. That is absolutely massive. The risk, obviously, for Africa is, can its supply chain keep up? In our experience, I think there are basically 3 areas that you need to focus on going forward. I would like to paint the scenario for you. You're a supply chain executive in a packaging or in a manufacturing environment. You have clients which are blue chip, international, leading companies in their field. They have demand for their products. You are responsible for bringing those products to the customer from a supply chain perspective. What do you do? First of all, you have to look and stabilize your supplier base, your inbound supply chain, what we refer to generally as your supplier base, your procurement, your planning, and your engagement with your particular suppliers. Gone are the days where you just have an arrangement with the supplier to say, bring me a couple of stuff, I'll pay you money, and bring it whenever you can. Obviously, the ballpark has changed to include supplier relationship management, and one has to look at what is high risk into your business together with criticality. If you take your supplier base, which probably are running into the hundreds, perhaps even thousands, there are probably only a handful of suppliers that's going to make or break the success of your supply chain intervention. You have to engage with those suppliers on a strategic level. You have to engage with them on a planning level, and obviously together with that forecasting. So investment in the supplier relationship management, together with the planning side, the categorization in terms of criticality and the risk into your business, that becomes absolutely key. So once you've stabilized your supplier base, the next step is then to look at the distribution side of your business. In other words, are my stock management principles in place? Do I have the right stock for the right customer at the right time? Do I know where my stock is? All these matters extremely when it comes to customer satisfaction. Ultimately, on the outbound side, your logistics obviously become quite important, but in a growth environment, it is the size of this total pipeline which needs to be looked at very carefully. Careful forecasting, very detailed analysis in terms of future demand, etc. will certainly determine what the size of this particular pipeline would be in order to meet your increased customer demand. So what we've discussed up to now in terms of your approach to sorting out your supply chain issues in a growth environment is certainly, as a departure point, stabilizing your inbound environment. In other words, engaging with your suppliers. The second area, obviously on the distribution side, ensuring that you are able to serve your customers at the right time with the right product. And obviously, if possible, at the right cost. What does that mean? That you need to basically have a pipeline size that's going to fit your requirement at a particular point in time, but it needs to require a careful forward look in terms of what the size and demands of your customers are going to be. Growth sneaks up on you, believe me, we have been in that environment before, and before you know it, your supply chain cannot cope. So consequences of that certainly is around customer dissatisfaction, costs, all those things creeping in. What determines all of this? Third point, planning. Demand planning with your customer becomes paramount. One has to hold your customer almost accountable for planning. He needs to give you suitable information for you to enable your manufacturing environment. From your manufacturing environment, obviously that moves across to your inbound requirements and then obviously your distribution requirements. I think Africa will see many exciting things in the next decade around supply chain developments, the refinement of African supply chains. But what is important in your organization is that you keep a close tab in terms of the size of that pipeline, but you have to start with stabilizing your supplier base, ensuring that your distribution pipeline is the correct size, and then obviously on planning. Good luck.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.